Okay, in this video I want to explain how I determine that I'm having a combustor problem in this Consolidated Dutchwest stove. It has been doing quite well all season. This is February right now, toward the end of February. And it's been doing quite well all season. Maybe not as good as I really would like it to, but not bad. Okay, now we had some warm weather here for a while, and I let the fire go out for about a week. And after restarting it, I noticed that the combustor, I just cannot seem to get it up to temperature, and it will not stay, like I would expect it to. Right now, the fire is dying down. Let me move this out of the way here. You can see that temperature probe right now. It's about 300 degrees. Okay, so that's about 200 degrees below what is light off temperature. All right. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to feed the fire right now, and then we'll take a break. I'm going to wait until the temperature starts to climb again. And okay, we'll just walk you through it. Okay. First, the thing I'll do is open the primary damper. That's for the bypass for the combustor. Now I have a pretty good set of embers going in here right now. Pretty good. Okay, I'm going to start pulling up some wood in there. This is oak, by the way. Now I'll close the damper. What I'm going to do is open the ash drawer just to get the fire started. Let's wait a few seconds here. Okay, I can hear it starting to run. I can hear it starting to roar now. Okay, now that I've done that, I'll open the loading door damper. I'm going to close the ash drawer damper, the ash drawer door. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the combustor temperature gets up to at least 500 degrees. And then when that happens, when it gets up to 500 degrees, I should be able to close that damper, and the temperature of the combustor should continue to climb as it burns the smoke from the flue gases. If the combustor is not working correctly, the temperature is going to drop. Instead of going up, it's going to go down. So okay, we'll wait and see what happens, and then we'll continue with this video. Okay, now so it's been about 15 minutes since I reloaded it, and the temperature right now is right, according to the probe thermometer anyway, it's at 550 degrees. That's a light off temperature. Now actually the combustor is probably hotter than that. It's like I explained in my previous videos that the probe is just a guide. This kind of tells you about where things are at. It's not that accurate. So the combustor itself is probably maybe 700 or 800 degrees right now. So I'm gonna close off the side damper. Okay, and then I'm gonna watch that probe and see if the temperature goes up or down. Wait a little while. Okay. Now when I close this, it cuts off almost all the air to the fire, and that kind of puts into a smoldering state, and that's the fuel for the combustor. If everything's working correctly, the flue gases will burn in the combustor and the temperature will climb. Okay, so come back a little later and we'll check it and we'll see what's happening. Okay, now it's been about maybe 10 minutes since I closed off that loading door damper, and like I said, on the probe showed about 550 degrees for the catalytic combustor temperature. And like I said, after you close off everything, and the smoke should fuel the combustor and the temperature should climb. But if you look, it's actually dropped. Right now it's just about maybe 525, getting down to about 500. And actually it is about 500 right now. And it will drop further. In fact, it'll get down to a point where we have to open the damper up again. So that leads me to believe that the combustor is no longer functioning the way it should. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, I don't know what, but it seems like I have to replace this combustor like once a year, maybe twice. I'm sorry, maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years. And they're not cheap. So, I got a new combustor. I've had it for quite a while. I actually ordered about 2 or 3 at one time at one point. I still have one left yet. And I'm going to go ahead and wait for things to cool down a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the new combustor in there. And then we'll see how things work. Okay. That's all for right now. Well, just for grins, I opened up the loading door damper again. And I've had it actually open for about maybe 15 minutes, I guess, something like that. And now right now the combustor temperature is up to about, I think about 900 degrees approximately, something like that. Well, anyway, I just thought I'd do this again just to see what happened. I got that, I closed it off already. So this is like running the same experiment twice with the same fire. I'll pause this thing for a while and then we'll get back to it and we'll see what happens. Okay, it's been about 6 hours since since the last video, so the fire had plenty of time to go burn way down. So now it should be cool enough to work on. But there's still enough in there, I believe, where I'll be able to get another fire started without going through the process of using newspaper and kindling and that sort of thing. So this is actually one of the easiest jobs there is, replacing the catalytic combustor. It's very simple. Alright, now, yeah, it's a little hot. Yikes! Okay. As you can see, you know, it looks to be in very good condition. You know, it's not crumbling or anything. You know, and yesterday actually I cleaned it out with a shop vac. You know, I sucked all the stuff out of it trying to clean up, hoping that would do it, but it didn't. So I don't know what happened to it. It's just junk, that's all. So I got a new one here. And this is all, I cleaned all this out yesterday, and it's pretty clean yet, so I don't have to worry about that. Yeah. Condor. I actually bought this thing probably 2 years ago. In fact, I don't think I paid for it because they actually covered it under a warranty. It had a 3-year warranty on it. It didn't last that long, and I just had to send them back my old one, and they sent me out a new one. Okay. I hate these things, you know. Oh well. Yeah, I'll worry about the other stuff later. Now you'll notice here too that there's already an interim gasket is already on here, and it's got a paper going around it, and that paper just stays on because that's going to burn off. And all you do is just set it in there, just like that. That's it. You're done. Okay, now let's see. I got a label fellow here. Now, masking tape around the gasket serves to hold the gasket in place during installation. It's not necessary to remove the tape, as it will burn off the first time the catalyst is activated. Remove the tape and gasket only if the combustor will not fit with them in place. Well, obviously it fit. So. Okay. Now put everything back together. Wish everything in this world was that simple. Unfortunately, it's not the cheapest thing to do either. A little. There we go. All right. Now I'm gonna get a fire started in this thing. Unfortunately, I don't have any firewood in here right now. Be right back. Okay, got me some firewood. Now let's see what we can do with this thing. There are a few little embers in there yet. And it doesn't take much to get a fire started. So there's a leaf, I'll throw that in there. I got the junk here from the firewood debris, and this actually works quite good at getting the fire started. There we go. Okay. But you're thinking crazy putting that much wood in there, such a small couple little embers like that, but I'll bet you it'll work. Got a good draft. Open the damper, open the ash drawer to get things started. I'm leaving this open for right now too, until I get a fire. This is one thing I want to say. The idea that, okay, If you're checking out your combustor and you think it might be okay because maybe you have a temperature, maybe 800, 900,000 degrees, whatever, but you have a damper open to achieve that temperature, you're really not proving anything. The combustor may still not be working, because you saw me, I had this thing up to about 900 degrees, and as soon as I closed off the dampers, the temperature went right down. That tells me that the combustor is not working. Okay, so just because you get a high temperature with the dampers open doesn't mean that the combustor is working. The real test is to close off the dampers, and if the temperature keeps continuing to climb up to 1300 degrees, then you know that the combustor is working. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's starting now. Now remind me, I am not going to leave that ash door open for very long, so I know a lot of people have a real problem with that. But the only reason, I only leave it open long enough to get the fire established. Well, you know, once they get the fire going, then I close that up and open up the side damper. Okay, once it gets going really good, I'm gonna come back and we'll check out our temperatures. Okay, right now there's a pretty good fire going. I just paused the camera here about maybe 2 minutes ago. You can probably hear it. It's roaring pretty good. Okay. I think now I'm going to open up the side damper. I'm going to open it up wide. It's amazing how fast that gets hot. And now I'll close off the ash drawer door. Now if you're going to wait for the temperature on the catalyst temperature to get up to 500 degrees with this bypass open, you're gonna have to wait for an awful long time. It's just not gonna happen. You have to close this to do it. I think in the instructions somewhere it says you're supposed to get the catalyst up to 500 degrees before you close the bypass. I never got anywhere with that. It doesn't work for me at all. I gotta close the bypass to get the catalyst up to 500 degrees. So I'm going to close this off now. Okay, that just put the combustor into the circuit now. And now we'll see what happens. Okay, right now the temperature on the probe is up to 300 degrees and climbing. Magic heat's running. You know, it's kind of, I find it's kind of amusing in a way. It says here, did you know you should remove and inspect your combustor once a year. You can perform a simple maintenance that can extend the life of your combustor. What I find interesting is you take the combustor out, you're going to destroy the interim seal. You're not going to get it back in again. You saw in my previous video what happened. So I think actually, if you can get away without taking it out, I think you're better off. Unless you don't care about the seal. Yeah. At least I found out one thing, the peanuts that this thing was shipped and you can eat them. They're made out of cornstarch. They're talking about after 12,000 hours of use, the combustor is expected to have lost 25% of its catalytic function. Gradually, your wood stove will recover less heat from smoke. Gradually, you'll notice less warmth, and eventually, you'll see dark pollutants from the chimney. White steam is normal. Emission from any EPA-approved wood stove and water vapor is a natural harmless byproduct of the catalytic reaction. That's usually what I've always looked for. When I knew the catalytic combustor was working properly, I would go out and look up at the chimney, and if I see white steam coming out of there, I said, hey, okay, everything's working fine. Now, I didn't mention this before. When they had this combustor, that's another way to tell if the combustor is working or not. When this combustor was running up at 900 degrees before, I went outside and looked, and I saw smoke coming out of the chimney. That's not normal, because at 900 degrees the combustor should be working. I shouldn't see anything but steam coming out of there. That's another tip-off. That's a good thing to look for. If you see anything other than steam coming out of the chimney, when the combustor is over 500 degrees, that combustor is not working. Catalytic reaction takes place inside the cells of this combustor. The quality and quantity of catalytic material inside the combustor is guaranteed by Condor Company. The appearance on top and bottom surface may vary, and individual combustors will vary in color when new. There is no functional difference in catalytic performance. Whether the darker side or the lighter side or colored side is placed up or down inside your wood stove. No, that's basically it. Okay. All right. Interesting. The temperature right now is up to about 600 degrees. Now I'm going to close it off. I'm going to close off the side damper, and we'll see what happens. And I'll tell you something. With the old combustor, I could not get up that. I could not get to 600 degrees that fast. It took an awful long time. Mm. 600 degrees right now. Okay, I'll stop the camera for a few minutes and then I'll come back. Okay, I think it's been about 10 or 15 minutes, I guess. And you can see now the temperature is up to 900 degrees, a little bit more. I have to be a little bit honest with you though, I did open up the door damper, just the door vent, for about maybe 5 minutes, because I don't think the fire was really that well established. But the combustor temperature still managed to stay up around 700 degrees despite that, you know, so. But it wasn't making any real upward progress, so I decided to open up the door vent and let some air in there to get so the fire would build up a little bit better. And then now the door vent right now is closed. Okay, everything's closed off right now. And since I've started this camera, you'll notice that up now it's up to about 975 and climbing. It's a smoky, it's just smoldering, smoky fire, and the combustor temperature is rising because right now the combustor is consuming the smoke and using it for fuel. If you watch real closely, you'll see it climb. It's getting up to 1,000 degrees now. Let's see this. It's actually glowing cherry red right now. You probably can't tell that at the camera. Got my glasses in my mouth. Let's see if I can do better than that. I'm going to turn off the overhead lights. I think you can see it glowing there. Yeah, I got it open right now and there's no smoke coming out, because the combustor is burning up all the flue gas. It's burning up all the fumes from the fire. Okay. Okay, I was wondering about the temperature on the gauge dropped. It dropped down to about 900 degrees, but that's because I had it open, so it dropped. So it's going to take a while for it to come back up again. Yeah, right now it's up to about 1,200 degrees and climbing. I had to add a little bit more wood to the fire. That after all that fire that I had going was, you know, it's basically just mostly just kindling and a couple of larger pieces. It was getting up to about, it got up to about 1,000 degrees and kind of more or less stayed there. So I put a little more wood in there, and I opened up the door vent a little bit for just about maybe just a couple of minutes, and closed everything back off, and now everything's been climbing ever since. So now I got a good established fire here, and yeah, it's getting up to about Yeah, around 1200 degrees right now. So I'd say this was fixed. It's working much better. I hope this helped you. Bye.